Everyone, and welcome to the Latte Lounge. Tonight I'm really excited to be talking to the lovely Amanda Thebe. So we're just going to let a few of you join and wait to let Amanda in. But just wave to a few of you while we're waiting. So as I said, we are here tonight to have a chat with the brilliant Amanda Thebe, who many of you will know is a fitness expert, health and fitness expert. And we're here to actually talk about her menopause journey, but also her new book. So while we wait for her to join, I will just wave to Liz. Hi, Liz. Hi, Lily. Hope everyone's having a good day. Nice to see you all. Just see if Amanda's here. So just while I'm waiting for Amanda to join, I will just recap. Tonight we are chatting to the lovely Amanda Thebe, and she sent a request, so I'm just going to let her in. Hello, Amanda. Can you hear me? Just say hello to Sherry. Hello. How are you?
I'm great. I'm in a rental apartment in Glasgow at the end of my holiday. I hope we don't have any interruptions, Katie, with the I'm on data. I think we're good, but I'm excited to talk to you. I know we only have 30 minutes, so I'm hoping we can get through a lot.
It's fine. Well, look, I wanted to say hello and welcome you, but before we chat, I'm just going to give a little bit of intro lots of people obviously know you, but for those that don't, obviously, as I said, I'm really happy to be chatting to the amazing Amanda Thebe, who's a fitness expert, and Amanda is the author of this lovely book, yes, I've got it here. I want to say Monopoly, but it's Menopocalypse, as many of you can see.
Correct.
Thank you. So Amanda is a force of nature for women who are experiencing, in your words, menopause hell and want to start feeling healthy and fit in their 40s and beyond. With over 20 years of experience in the fitness industry, Amanda is a highly regarded expert on women's fitness and health. And as we're going to talk about soon, Amanda went through perimenopause, similar age to me. I think you were about 43. And she, as you say in your book, you went from barely surviving to thriving by making sort of specific changes to your diet, exercise, and approach to mental health. And in the book, you reveal your unique methods that have worked for you and many of your clients. So we will talk about that. Now, before we do, I know Amanda sounds like she's from this side of the pond, but you're actually, where are you based?
Well, I am in Glasgow on holiday, but I'm based in Houston, Texas. But big reveal, I'm moving back to Canada in August. So I'm actually going to be back in Toronto, Canada. Oh, I have wanderlust, and my husband's work keeps changing. But I think this might be the last emigrating that we'll do because I'm tired of it.
That's amazing. And our best friends live in Toronto. So if you're there, I will have two people to see, which is brilliant. So listen, tell us a little bit before we talk about the book. Tell us about your perimenopause journey and what led you to write the book.
It's very similar to yours, Katie, and I think that's why we connected like we did, because I read your story and was like, oh my God, she's like my twin over there in the UK. And it essentially was being hit with symptoms that didn't make any sense to me. And I sort of went into my 40s being very healthy, very fit, pretty cocksure of myself. And if I'm honest, I was like, look at me, I'm nailing this aging business. And for about 2 years, from the age of 42 to about 44, until I saw a gynecologist that recognized what was going on, I just floundered. And I floundered with symptoms that altered my quality of life, impacted my relationships, my mental health, my physical health. And nobody, even with I had some amazing doctors, nobody, hi Kate, nobody could could help me. Like nobody knew what it was. We know there's a lack of education in the medical community. So despite their best efforts, I just was like left to get on with it myself, and it was horrible. I've never really ever felt quite as desperate in my life, like I did in that time. And then we hear this all the time. Both you and I have got tens of thousands of women that are in our community, and we hear this all the time, and it's devastating to hear that it's still happening.
Yes.
I did get a gynecologist. My gynecologist recognized it was perimenopause, which at the time was a new word for me. It was a new one for my vocabulary. Thank goodness it's not so new now. And then I sort of sent me on a path to, taking control of my health again, and discovery and education and blah, 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 all the things we're talking about. And ultimately that ended up in me wanting to write a book. And I think the reason I wrote the book is I wanted a book that was maybe something my best friend would give me, or how my best friend would explain what menopause was to me, and what things you can do from a medical perspective and what things you can do from a lifestyle perspective. And that's the tone of the book the whole way through.
Yeah. And I must say, Amanda and I met, we met at the Latte Lounge third birthday. Liz Earle was the host, and we had a fabulous spa day at the Grove Hotel this side of the pond. And we had some brilliant speakers. We had Dr. Newson and Diane Danzybrink, and we had Jane Lewis and Sam Evans. And, it was all for our charity partner, the Eve Appeal. But the reason I'm bringing up that is that when we met, and you talk about being your twin, what I loved about you is your no bullshit monitor. So I've been brought up to just cut out the crap, basically. And if you see sort of some quack coming, well, just sort of trip them up and hold them to account. And that's what I love about you, is that people just know that what they're getting from you, is just no bullshit. And having a flick through your book, I loved it, because the Latte Lounge for me was a similar idea. Where would I want to have this conversation with my best friend? And it was in a coffee shop. But what you've done with the book is kind of put that, into words and in two parts. And I want to talk about the book. So part one is about the reality, isn't it? And you call it defining the monster. What is the monster for you?
Yeah, it was for me. And I joke when I say menopause hell, but it sort of was for me too, which is why I called it Menopocalypse. It felt like literally the end of the world. But the book is not negative. The book really is about what the positives of menopause are. It's not a miserable book, just an FYI.
Yeah, it's great. And to talk about, so at the beginning, you talk about defining the monster. So obviously it's two parts. The part two is the hacks. So your tips and tricks that you've learned along the way to survive. But whilst you were not surviving, let's talk through the book. What was that reality for you? I mean, for someone as fit and healthy, and slim and vivacious and educated, it must have been really overwhelming to sort of suddenly feel so rubbish.
Felt quite betrayed by my body. I felt as though I'd invested all this, decades of energy and time and money in education and understanding the body's physiology. And I just thought, how is it that this is happening to me? I don't get it. And I think that that's the same with a lot of women. And then so I went through the blame and the shame, and I never spoke about it because I just felt like I was literally failing at life. And I just was like, and it was actually when I found out that it was perimenopause, and I sort of went down that rabbit hole, and I found people like you as well talking about it. I was like, there is no way we can keep quiet about this, because the fact that we have been keeping quiet about this is one of the reasons I'm in this mess. And it's one of the reasons women are in the mess, is because knowledge is power, education is power, and the only way we're going to change the way medicine's done and the attitude to menopause and the attitude to aging and how we look after our body, the only way we can do that is by these frank conversations and education, and then trying to filter out the noise that is just the people trying to take advantage of us. And that's, I know your dad, I know you come from a medical background, and your dad's a legend, and he had the quack meter thing. I don't know, what was it called again,
It's
Katie?
called Quack Busters.
Quackmas. Come back. We should bring it again. But the thing is, it's not just doctors, it's not just quacks. And I call them wellness wankers. They drive me crazy. And it's people like me, only people who are looking, in my eyes, to take advantage of menopausal women who are vulnerable, who really are looking for answers and want to feel better. And they're promising women the world with false information. And I hate it. And I hate it even more because there's always an ounce of truth in the information they give you. And so they pull you in. Are you suffering from this? Are you suffering from this? Well, I have the answer. And a lot of women end up spending hundreds and thousands of dollars and pounds or whatever on solutions that aren't going to help them. And so the point of the book was then like, here are the medical solutions that we know work from a hormonal and non-hormonal standpoint. But then in the flip side of that, and this is my second part of the book, the hacks, here are like 4 areas of your life that you can tackle. And I know, Katie, this is a great touching point for you. You literally have flipped your life around by doing the things that matter, like improving your nutrition and nourishing your body like it needs to be nourished, exercising intelligently so that you support your body through perimenopause and menopause, you build strength and resilience for aging, that you manage your stress levels, but proactively, not like, oh, fuck, I'm stressed, I better go and lie down, but like, how can I not be in that high stress state all the time? What are the daily actions that I can do that like feed my body, mind, and soul? And how can I improve my sleep? And even just like the last chapter in the book, Katie, is my favorite, and it's how to think. And it's all about like how we think about the whole menopause journey and how we think about aging and how we talk to ourselves. Because that's the bit I watch women doing, and it's really shitty when I hear women like hitting on themselves saying, I hate the way I look, I hate the way I feel, I'm a loser. I mean, we've all felt those thoughts, but there's a really tangible way to flip the narrative and actually make this a really positive journey, even when it doesn't feel like that's possible.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that I found was, you can't, what I realize now is you actually, if you're overweight, I put on 4 stone during this 4 years of perimenopause, and I couldn't even get into the headspace of even trying to lose weight or no energy to exercise. And so for me, and I think for thousands of women that I hear from, until you've sorted, first of all, understood what's going on and then sorted your hormones, you actually can't get to that next stage. Because I tried to eat well, I tried to exercise, and that still didn't fix the brain fog, the insomnia, the anxiety, the palpitations. So you know, there is an order, I think, for a lot of women. I mean, what was your order? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, do you take HRT? Did you try it, it didn't work, or you know, what has worked for you?
I agree with everything you've just said. And sometimes it's reverse engineering as well. There is an order, but you don't always realize, right?
Yeah.
And so how I would word that, which is essentially you saying exactly the same thing, is that, you know, if you're trying everything that you think is like reasonable from a health standpoint and you still don't feel like you have a good quality of life, then, you know, there is no shame in looking for a medical intervention. And I think that that's what the problem is with this conversation, is women think, well, if I go to the doctors and I start taking something, then I've clearly failed, because now it looks like I need to do this to get it through. And I'm just like, we have to, and we are changing the conversation around that. We do really reinforce the message that if a woman takes hormones, it really isn't a sense of failure. It's really helping you gain some control over your life, and for most women it can be. I initially didn't take HRT because 9 years ago now, oh my god, I'm getting older by the minute. So I still had the fears that some women, well, lots of women still have, about, you know, the breast cancer scare and it just not being the right and most appropriate treatment. I was struggling with neurological issues of menopause, which were brain fog, migraines, loss of feeling in like nerves, so I didn't feel my face and my hands, and depression. So I went on an antidepressant, and that actually was really, really helpful to me for the first 18 months until I started getting other symptoms that the antidepressants didn't help with. And so I did my hormone therapy, and I tried it for about 5 years, and I never took to it. I had a real sensitivity to it, likely, and I know you've spoke to Nick Panner about this, likely to the progesterone, and it really didn't make me feel good. I struggled, and not many women do. The majority of women do well on it, but there's always going to be a subset of women. Sorry, the sun's shining in. There's always going to be a subset of women that can't take it because it doesn't work well for them, or they can't take it ever. You know, it's outside of their risk factor, and that's something that you have to talk to your medical provider about. And we're not doctors. Katie and I aren't doctors, and alongside of all of those, I just did my best to stay on top of all of the things that we know prolong life. So the conversation about HRT and longevity goes back and forth. I hear it and I see it. Yes, it can be helpful for our health. It's not definitive, and so there's women that can't take it and think, oh my God, I'm going to die young because I can't take HRT. And the experts are saying, no, it's a multifaceted conversation, and it's super important for you to realize that it's one part of the puzzle. And if HRT isn't in the conversation for you, and it isn't for me, then we know that improving your exercise, like moving every day, going for your walks and eating well and de-stressing, like removing chronic stress, are all ways that have been proven statistically and in evidence-based peer-reviewed studies to show that they will improve your health markers and increase your longevity. So all is not lost is my sort of like take on this. Do what you can from your side, and if you need help from the medical side, then take it. God, don't suffer.
Absolutely. And I think, and the most important thing is you have an informed, discussion with your doctor. If you need to go and see a doctor, and there are all sorts of different treatment options. But, in your menopause toolkit, there are 4 hacks. So how to eat, how to move, how to manage stress, and how to think. And I love that, because I think for me, I finally, almost 10 years later, have just about nailed those 4. And I think the exercise for me is actually it's 2 of those things. It's not just about the exercise, but it's actually the de-stress as well. Because I think I like a lot of women, we're so sick of people saying, you've got to go to the gym and you've got to run 4 times a week and you've got to do this. And by people saying, I have to do these things, actually, I didn't like running and I can't. And I didn't want to go to the gym 4 times. But finding something that works for you, that you enjoy, that fits into your life, actually removes that layer of stress rather than adds to it. So do you feel quite strongly that we should all be doing, or it would be helpful to do the strengthening exercises with weights, and especially for women who are not on HRT, in terms of risk of osteoporosis? Is that a must?
Well, if I could encourage every woman in menopause to do resistance training, and that can look different for all of us. It doesn't mean going to the gym 4 times a week, and I'll explain my research on this. I would. And actually now the government are now suggesting that people do resistance training 2 times a week for overall health. And so here's what we know. We know that through perimenopause, and I know that this is going to be the crux of the conversation for us, is that we know that literally from aging, we start to lose muscle mass. It's something that happens mainly because of aging and being sedentary, and somewhat accelerated through perimenopause. It's called sarcopenia, and we start to lose the integrity of our muscles. And so we need to actively find ways to maintain any lean muscle that we have and continue to build on it through aging. And it will help you, not just, oh my God, the sun's glaring, and not just because I want you all to be strong and build resilience, because that can help with injuries and rebounding and just being strong as you age. But it's also really helpful because it helps strength training, and increased muscle mass can be helpful for cardiovascular issues, osteoporosis. It can help rebuild bones, and we know that that's a massive issue for women through perimenopause and into postmenopause, the statistics are horrifying, and I don't want any woman to be scared of I'm going to move back a bit, sorry. I don't want any woman to be scared, there we go, of feeling that they're going to break bonds. And this isn't a scary conversation at all, but what it can do, this is preventative stuff that they can do. And so, but me telling you to go to the gym is not helpful. And especially in perimenopause, when you're struggling with symptoms and maybe you're fatigued and you really don't have the energy, for me to say to you, well, you should be strength training 3 times a week, you're likely to tell me to sod off, right? Yes. But what I would encourage women to do is try and find a way to incorporate some type of resistance training into their life. Personally, I provide you with in the book a 12-week strength training program that I believe is an entry level and that any woman can do. And you can do it from 10 minutes a day to 30 minutes a day, 40 minutes a day, 2 or 3 times a week. And it's just introducing the body to the stimulus of building muscle, which doesn't mean you're going to get big and bulky. It means you're going to preserve your body. It's like literally the protection of your body. And but I saw comments there saying yoga, Pilates, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but there's better ways to do it. Strength training is one of the best ways to do it. When you do yoga, I've done yoga for 30 years, it becomes something that is almost meditative. It's relaxing. Even the most challenging poses, you start to lose the stimulus of building muscle because it becomes easy. You adapt. Your body is meant to adapt, and that's the whole point of it, right? With strength training, you can continually push the boundaries and cope with adaptation by increasing the weight, decreasing the rest, changing your body position. There's ways to make that work. That stimulus can always be adapted. But for a lot of women, they've never even thought about doing weight training, and body weight movements like yoga, Pilates, or calisthenics is the old term for it, like body weight exercising, can be perfect. And so I'm always looking at ways to do maybe fitness snacking, just do a little bit here and there and just get the taste for it and see how it feels. But more importantly, people need to move more. And I think that the pandemic's been good for that, hasn't it, Katie? People are getting out and walking more. And I'm in Scotland and I've been doing hiking, and I'm seeing way more people hiking here than I've ever seen before when I've come. And I'm like, this is one of the best things you can do for your health. It's so good for you on so many levels. And so think small. Think, how can I start? What can I do that brings me joy in exercise, that's going to stimulate the mind, help me de-stress, because it is a de-stressor. It could be Zumba. It could be about Joe Wicks or whatever he's called. I don't know. I don't see his thing. But, find something you can do even online. Just get started. Kate, who's on here, does free workouts every morning. She's done over 600. There's women joining her program that have never exercised before. And so there's people out there that are offering classes that just encourage you to feel better about yourself, because when you start exercising, increases the feel-good endorphins, it improves body image. These are all big things through perimenopause, right?
Yeah, and I think the one thing the benefit I found about lockdown, other than just walking, was actually finding something online, which I would never normally have done, and doing it in the privacy of your bedroom. Nobody else is looking at you. There's no embarrassment. You can do it in your bra and knickers or in your pajamas. And it's almost like a sort of private time that you can just, there's no one else holding you accountable except you. So I think that's really good advice. Let's just really quickly, because I want to see if there's a few questions, but talk about nutrition, because growing up in the 80s, or even before the 70s, we had the F-plan diet. We had the low fat, the high fat, the low sugar, the beetroot diet, and God knows what. And I'm the first to admit that it's completely messed with my mind, because there's just so many people saying, eat this, don't eat that. So we've all forgotten how to eat. And so many people are trying diets that they may have worked when they were sort of 20, 25 or something, lose 2 pounds a week if I just eat 1,000 calories. That just doesn't work for us anymore. So what are your hacks, your eating hacks?
Yeah, our knee-jerk reaction as women, and especially as women of the children, teenagers and in the 80s and 90s, it's when the diet books all started to come out, you know, and I remember Jennifer Aniston doing the Atkins diet, and there was, you know, every diet that's been out there is always promising you the world, right?
Mm.
Often the diets are written by people that have no nutritional science education. They're always doctors that are stepping outside their lane, or celebrities, and there's, you know, celebrity books here, there, and everywhere. This worked for me, so therefore it will work for you. And it's I find it very frustrating, you know, to look at, and then seeing these people promising women the world, and it's very frustrating. And nutritional science is a science, and I've studied it, and I can honestly tell you that, like, the basics of nutritional science aren't super complicated. I mean, how the body uses its energy can get a little bit more complicated, but the basis of losing weight is built on the concept of energy balance. And energy balance is what your body uses against what it needs. And so in our 20s, you know, to lose weight quickly, we all starved ourselves. We did 1,000 calories, 1,200 calories. We ate salads, you know, I don't know, we did. And then we did it 5 weeks before we went on our holiday and put our bikinis on. It doesn't work anymore. And it doesn't work anymore because the landscape's different. Your perimenopause literally creates so many hurdles that make losing weight almost impossible. It feels like it's impossible, that make putting on weight so much easier. And it's never one thing. It's never just menopause. And I think that that's really important to know. It's not just your hormones, it's everything. Your hormones are causing you to move less. Your hormones are messing with your hunger hormones and making you eat more. Your stress levels are higher. It's causing us to gain belly fat. There's so many things. It's never just one thing. And I think that the books out there that tell you that they found the magic pill, you know, or the magic solution, or crack the code is the latest one I saw. It's just unfair to us, and it's just misrepresenting what the actual nutritional scientists know. Anyway, so the long and short of it is, my training has always helped me coach people to understand how to nourish the body, rather than it does matter what we eat, but it also matters how we eat. And we've forgotten how to feel true hunger. We've forgotten how to feel satisfied. How often do we overeat until our bellies ache and we just feel really, really gross, right? That's something that we need to work at. It's a skill, and skills take time. Other things is like learning when to stop, learning when to say, okay, I'm satisfied now and I've eaten slowly. And all of these things really help women with and men with long-term success, when you actually cue into real hunger cues and understand how the body gets nourished. And then a great example of that is, I mean, I'm doing it all the time with my kids on holiday. They're sat in front of the telly right now, eating their dinner on their laps and on their phone as well. And they're not actually looking at what they're eating or feeling nourished. They'll probably overeat, and all of those they're really bad habits. And so I'm all about meal times belong at the table. We're all going to eat together, and we're going to eat slowly, and we're going to eat when we're hungry, and we're going to talk, and we're going to enjoy food. And those things really matter to us. And then when you sort of start working on things like that, you start to want to nourish your body with the food that is actually beneficial for it. And I really cannot stand diets that eliminate food groups and eliminate the macronutrients. And so your 3 macronutrients are protein, carbohydrates, and fats, and the body uses all of them. And we've become a nation of women that are afraid of carbs. It drives me crazy. I don't understand it. It's the main fuel for the body. It's the fuel that crosses the blood-brain barrier. It helps with your cognitive awareness, right? Why would we stop eating carbohydrates? Oh, because Daniela, who's got a new book out, said they make you fat and they make you insulin resistant. Well, F off, Daniela, because it's just oversimplifying a construct in the body that doesn't work like that. And so I'm all about, I really want women to really enjoy food again, have a balanced approach to eating, not eat too much, and eat more of the things that are going to make them thrive, like high quality proteins, more vegetables. We all need to eat more vegetables, without a doubt. fruit, grains, and then save the fun carbohydrates for treats. Like, you don't want to be living on those type of things, and that's what often happens, right?
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
get fed up, tired. We've had enough, so we have a cup of tea at 3 o'clock with all of those Galaxy. I've just eaten one. Galaxy chocolate bars, the mini ones, and we're like, okay, I'll have just maybe one or two. And we just don't eat mindfully anymore. We eat mindlessly, and that comes back to haunt us. So the way I talk about nutrition is long, slow, boring, but guess what? It works. And it works because that's what you did.
Well, the difference for me was that everyone had told me don't eat carbs, and what I did was actually I eat pasta, I eat rice, bread, not so much, but I eat it, and I'm satisfied, I'm satiated, I'm full. So and actually what I was doing was, by not having the baked potato or the rice or the pasta, I was starving an hour later. So then I ended up eating more. So it's been, for me, that bit's been a revelation. And I must just say a couple more things, because I know we're running out of time and I want to quickly go through some questions. But one thing I picked up on your book, and I was talking last week with Lorraine Candy about this, about her book about parenting teenagers, is that the frustrating thing and the unfortunate thing for us women is that, and you say it's a chapter in your book, that menopause collides with midlife. And midlife is actually the biggest pressure cooker time of our life. We're, not everyone's got kids, but a lot of us, especially the women on our group, are parenting kids, usually teenagers with massive issues of their own. We've got parents who are aging, who have health issues, we're caring for them. We're trying to sort of deal with our own, whether it's menopause or health or work or reinventing ourselves. And so it's so much kind of pressure on us that, we've got to all stop kind of blaming ourselves and berating ourselves, because, it's just a really hard time for us. And I think I love the bit in your book where you say, just be gentle to yourself and almost talk to yourself like you would say to a best friend, that, hey, okay, calm down, let's look after you for a bit, and let's put a spotlight on the woman in the middle, and start saying no. No kids, actually I'm not going to do that. No mum, not right now, I need some time for me, and whatever that looks like. I mean, what is your relaxation sort of tip that you do that kind of is, I guess, Amanda time, that doesn't necessarily revolve around, fitness? Or maybe it does.
Or
maybe it does. Maybe.
It usually does, actually.
Okay.
No, but I love that you brought this up, because it's the phenomena that happens in midlife for us, and it's the we to me phenomena, like how we take the focus away from everybody else and we bring it to ourselves, and then ultimately feel guilty because we want to focus on ourselves. And I'm like, get that and run with it, and actually put yourself first. It's the whole oxygen mask, right? Like, it's such a stressful time of our lives. We've got everything you described, with probably perimenopausal symptoms, career issues. I mean, we know divorce, you name it, it's all happening, right? And so if you literally don't take time to look after yourself before you start the day, before you start taking care of everybody else, it's all going to go tits up, right? So you literally have to do that. And for me, sometimes it's just I try and get up before everyone else and grab a coffee. Sometimes I sit outside with it. Sometimes I go for a 10-minute walk around the neighborhood. But I sort of like take that time just to be still in my mind. I'm a squirrel brained person. I've got way too much going on. I'm like that bouncy friend that everyone gets annoyed with.
Yeah.
And I try so I try just to take time to myself, and just like try and think of one thing that, I don't want to sound too like woo-woo here when I something I'm grateful for, or even something that I'm looking forward to. And it can be anything, something tiny. It could be, I'm looking forward to drinking this coffee without somebody hanging off my shirt tails, And I take that time all the time. Today, I woke up and everybody was up, and I'm in the middle of Glasgow, and I just said, I'm going to go for a walk. And they were like, we'll come. And I'm like, no, you won't.
No, you won't. Go away. Good.
Go away.
Right, I'm going to have a quick. So one of the people watching asked the name of the book, so I'm going to show the name of the book, and then I want to just go a couple of these questions. So here it is again. Who I'm not sure who asked. I think it was Blackness Sounds. Yes. So there you go. That's the name of the book. So we have a question here. I do a 2-hour walk every day, and I stick to under 1,250 calories, but I can't lose weight. The doctor says I need to exercise more and eat less, but I do end up fainting and I feel cold all the time, but not hungry.
Right.
Wow.
Don't only eat 1,250 calories. That's just way too. I mean, even if you're a really tiny 4'11" person, that's a tiny amount of calories. Most women don't know how many calories they're eating, right? And so I'll just start with that. We're very bad at guesstimating. It's really easy to underestimate what you're eating and overestimate estimate what we're exercising. And I don't want anyone to take offense of that. It's just like statistically what we know. Very hard. So unless you're tracking everything, it's really hard to know how much you're eating. So first of all, I would say potentially track what you're eating so you actually do know what you're definitely eating. Also try and work out what your calorie needs are. As someone said, you've been recording it in case I overestimate. Good. Then find out how many calories you need. There's things called Tde calculators, which means total daily energy expenditure. And what that does is it takes into account your sex, your age, your height, and your weight, and it gives you a rough estimate of what your daily calorie needs are. Say your daily calorie needs are 2,000 a day. I recommend that you reduce that by 300 to 500. So, I mean, that's a good amount to reduce it by. It could be even less. But 1,200 calories to me seems super, super low. And I would just also think to myself that if I'm exercising that much, my body's probably really stressed. 2 hours a day is a lot. I mean, I don't know what type of walking you're doing. I would definitely think about prioritizing some rest days, because your body does need to recuperate and get the cortisol levels down. If you're, like you say, if you're cold and stuff and you don't feel well, I would definitely go and see a doctor. If you think it might be thyroid issues, nobody's going to tell you that on Instagram. You have to go and get it checked out by a doctor. Yeah,
absolutely. Very sensible. Right, just a couple more. What's a high calorie protein?
High calorie or high density? Okay, so you want something that's a nutrient dense meal, and that just means that for the amount of calories you get good bang for your buck. So say like a donut is 400 calories. That's a low nutrient density because there's no nutritional benefit to that at all. But say a piece of like a salad, chicken salad would probably be 400 calories, and it would be high nutrient density because it's got all of the micronutrients and macronutrients in, and it's got vitamins, minerals, etc. Good lean protein that I think more women should eat more protein. I always suggest about 100 grams a day. 25 grams of protein can look like a piece of chicken about the size of your palm is about 4 ounces, 25 grams. Whey powder, a good supplement, that could be 25 grams. You can make a smoothie with that. You want that about 4 times a day. Salmon, tuna, they're all really great ways of getting lean protein. What protein does is it calms the blood sugar from jumping, and it sort of it stops you having those dips, you know, the 3 o'clock dip I was talking about where you eat your Galaxy chocolate. Like it stabilizes that. Also takes more calories to burn. The thermic effect of food on protein, it takes longer to burn protein. So it keeps you fuller longer as well. It's literally the queen of the macronutrients. And I always say on your plate, you should have a decent lean protein and lots of vegetables as well. They're like the mainstay of any meal, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And there's loads of other really good comments and questions, but thank you all very, very much. We are running out of time, but Amanda, thank you so much. Where can everybody find you? Website first.
Well, amandathebe.com, my website, and you can find anything from there, or just come over to my Instagram. page.
Yeah.
I'm going to quickly answer this question because this is something that really bugs me, and I know this person isn't trying to bug me, and I love all of her questions so far. Blackness sound.
Oh, okay,
Cut out all sugar. The problem I have with that is I have no time for restrictive mindset when it comes to eating, because all restrictive mindset does, if someone says cut out dairy, cut out gluten, cut out sugar, what's going to happen is you're going to want it more, and you're going to crave it more, and you're going to eat more of it, and it just is really a bad way to approach food. That comes under my like fun carbs element. So like, yes, eat them, but don't eat them all the time, and make sure it's not the mainstay of your diet. Always find room for them. And by sugar, I think that the person saying that means the added sugars, not the sugars that naturally occur in most foods. But when you have anything that's like hyper palatable, over processed food with added fats and salts and sugars, they're the stuff that make our brain go, ooh, this is nice, I want more of it. What I'm saying to you is everything in moderate. Well done, someone to say everything in moderation. Find space for that if you want it. But it shouldn't be the mainstay. And I never say cut anything out. And I hate those diets. Like, I literally hate them. And I will die on that hill.
No, and funnily enough that you should say that, because I was told, I had this mantra that someone told me, you're addicted to sugar, so just don't have it at all, but then have everything else. And that is also quite restricted. So what I've found this year with the way why it's worked for me is that I've kind of found that, I guess what I call a treat, that I can, I eat and I eat it, but I enjoy it and I look forward to it, and I'm mindful about the fact I'm going to have that. I'm not going to have, I'm not going to eat hundreds more, because that was the whole binge, cycle thing. And I think, you're absolutely right. Someone saying reduce alcohol. It is everything in moderation, including moderation. But, thank you, Amanda. It was a safe trip back to the States, and good luck with your move to Canada. And the book is here again, one last time. So where can people buy it?
Anyway, Amazon, and it's still in the top 10 in Amazon worldwide, so I'm super excited about that. I thank you for joining us, everyone, and thank you for your constant support. I love speaking to you today, Katie. Thank you.
You too, and keep up the good work and the bullshit monitor and all that.
Okay,
bye, everyone. Thanks. Be well.
Bye.
Bye.